It has been 3 months since the release of Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, and something I want to talk about for a hot minute is the ending for Chapter 13. What does it mean for the future? What is that planet? What does it mean? By the way, spoilers for Xenoblade Chronicles X and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. The big thing I want to discuss is if the planet we see at the end of the game is the same planet we see in Future Redeemed. At the end of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, after being Zed, Noah, Mio, and the rest of the gang depart ways, going back to their respective universes. The Xenoblade 1 universe and the Xenoblade 2 universe, right? But after the ending of Future Redeemed, we see that after a undisclosed amount of time, the two universes merge back together again successfully. And after the end of everything, right? At the end of all that, we see a tiny bright blue dot racing towards the new world. And that's all we got from the end of Future Redeemed. Flash forward towards the release of Xenoblade Chronicles X DE, and we got a new ending at the end of Chapter 13, where the main crew escape the ghosts, leaving Mira and that universe, and they end up universe hopping towards this brand new universe. And if you look at that, it kind of looks a little similar to the Future Redeemed universe, right? But there's a bit of a difference. You might guess it, you might see it, right? One has rings and the other doesn't. So, are they the same planet? Are they different planets? I want to say they're the same planet. I gotta say it. I gotta put my line in the sand. I think they're the same planet. There is way too much set up, both within Future Redeemed and X's Chapter 13 storyline, where the Monolith really wants to push the X storyline into whatever the next main project is. First of all, there were theories back when Future Redeemed dropped where the bright blue dot was the white whale. I thought it was kind of dumb, not gonna lie. Like, why would the white whale go to the new world? Aren't they stuck on Mira? And then suddenly we got Xenoblade Chronicles X coming out, and in Chapter 13, we see the crew universe hopping, right? But there was one key detail in Chapter 13 that kind of like, okay, Monolith really wants to have Elma, Lynn, the main crew, be important in the next game. That is Al. This dude, what's poppin', y'all? Al. Timothy, him. In one of the cutscenes in Chapter 13, we see Al explaining why he wasn't there for the main game, and he was in this stasis-like state, in between the rift of universes. And in this cutscene, we see the past events for the entire series. We see Shulk and Fiora in Xenoblade 1, we see Rex and Pyra in Xenoblade 2, and we see Noah and Mio in Xenoblade 3. And that one, to me, indicates that these are all past events, because remember, Ionios, all of Xenoblade 3 takes place in like 1 second, right? So, that indicates to me that everything we see in the Al cutscene or previous events, X's Chapter 13 is probably more than likely post 3. There is a time skip between the main game of X and Chapter 13. I believe it's like a couple months, 4 to 6 months, something like that. They mentioned that it's a span of a couple months. So I'm in belief that Chapter 13 is after 3, right? Definitely after Future Redeemed, because that's been said in the past, right? But what I'm trying to say is that it was a conscious decision on Monolith's end to connect X Chapter 13 with the main trilogy. Because if you play Xenoblade Chronicles X, you would know that game got no connections at all. The best we got are like references to Shulk with the Monando hairpin Lynn has, and the giant Telephia. But it's pretty clear to me now that X's former universe, right, the universe Mira was in, operated under different rules and different, like, yeah, I guess different rules than the Xenoblade 1's universe, because now we know there were different universes and that the X universe had its own Zohar, right? That explains why there's a Telethia there. That explains why the biology for the Telethia and all that are kind of different, because they're operating under different rules, different laws, different biology, right? Different constructs. Monolith did not have to have those prior cutscenes show up in X. That was a conscious decision. All we had were just Easter eggs. So it will be a complete, not only just 180, but it would just go against what they were building up if what we get out of Chapter 13 doesn't show up in the next game. I am 100% believing that this planet is the same planet from Future Redeem. Hey, you never know. I think the rings are a 100% red herring. I think they're there to, you know, fake us out like, oh wait, is this the same planet or no? I 1% think it's a red herring. It's gotta, I'm so dead set that this is the same planet. And remember guys, this is probably copium, right? Depending on the angle where you're viewing a planet that has rings like Saturn, those rings can just disappear, right? So yeah, I am 100%, or not even 100%, I'm like 99% in belief that it's the same planet. It looks the same. There's only rings that are different. It's a red herring. I think this is meant to fake us out, right? Now, what is the next entry for the series, right? What is coming up next? I believe the next Xenoblade game, it's probably going to be Xenoblade 4, not going to lie. Monolith has a pretty predictable release schedule. It's like 5 years per mainline entry, and then every like midway point between that 5-year gap, we get like a re-release of some kind or a smaller project, right? In between Xenoblade 2 and Xenoblade 3, we had Xenoblade 1's remaster, and now in between 3 and probably 4, we just got Xenoblade X's remaster, right? Plus, since Xenoblade Chronicles 3 came out in 2022, I wouldn't be shocked if Xenoblade 4 releases around, let's say, midway to fall 2027. That seems like a safe bet. This is not to say that we won't get more Xenoblade content until then, but considering XDE had a ton of ties to Xenosaga, I wouldn't be shocked if Bandai releases remasters for those games next year, or maybe this year. You never know. Bandai and Nintendo have been getting closer and closer in the recent years, so you never know. So yeah, that is pretty much it. If you want me to make another video speculating on what 4 could be and what the antagonists might be, comment down below. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about the implications of Xenoblade XDE's new ending. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see y'all next time.